New President Joe Biden. Let's do a little expose on him and his background, shall we? And perhaps we'll find out why he's now the in candidate. All three of Biden's children married Jewish spouses, and the baby grandson that he cradled in his arms after his victory speech last week is also Jewish, as are the children of his late son, Beau. Beau's wife, Hallie Oliver, was Biden's first Jewish daughter-in-law. Joe Biden had known her mother, Joan, since childhood and once joked that he would like to have married her. I was the Catholic kid, he said. She was the Jewish girl. I still tried. I didn't get anywhere. Hallie and Beau married in 2002 and had children Natalie and Robert. But in 2015, Beau died of brain cancer, and in the aftermath of his death, Hallie turned to his brother Hunter Biden, who was separated from his wife Kathleen, the mother of their children Naomi, Finnegan and Maisie. Joe and Jill Biden, as well as Hallie's parents, supported the couple, with Joe Biden saying that the couple had his and Jill's full and complete support and were happy for them. But Hallie and Hunter split up last year, probably because he's dipping his extended parts in other places, allegedly. But the report says in part because of the constant attention from the press. No, it was because of Hunter. And not long after, Hunter met Jewish South African filmmaker Melissa Cohen. What a coincidence that is. And within 10 days, the couple were married in a ceremony in Los Angeles. Now, Hunter marked the occasion by getting a tattoo to match Cohen's, the word shalom in Hebrew letters. And according to the South African Jewish report, it was love at first sight, and their family were left reeling by the news. Her parents, Zoe and Lee Cohen, would not comment, but her brother Garen said it was very much a fairy tale and all he wants is for Melissa to be happy and for there to be a happy ending. Except it's all arranged, isn't it? Now, Melissa grew up with her three older brothers, attended a Jewish day school and studied interior design before moving to Los Angeles. And Garen said that his sister had always been a champion for nature, conservation and the environment, as well as underprivileged and all people from all walks of life. All except their own people who are in poverty, largely in New York, I might add, and San Francisco as well. Now, the couple's baby named Beau was born in April, just under a year after they first met and married, and Jill and Joe Biden's daughter Ashley also has a Jewish spouse, Howard Crane, an ENT specialist at Philadelphia Hospital. They married in 2012 in a Catholic Jewish ceremony, followed by a reception during which the then Vice President danced the Hora, H-O-R-A. Ho-rah, indeed. And Biden said, I'm the only Irish Catholic, who had his dream met because his daughter married a Jewish surgeon. Now, alongside the Biden Jewish in-laws, the new Vice President's husband, Doug Emhoff, is also Jewish. Not only is the first American second gentleman, he's also the first Jewish spouse of an American president or vice president. Mr. Emhoff, 56, met Kamala Harris in 2013, and he is a successful entertainment lawyer. And they married in 2014, and he said, in keeping with our Indian and Jewish heritages, India, Egypt, Jewish. Oh, I'm seeing flashes from Russia with Love. I put a flower garland around Doug's neck and stomped on a glass, Harris wrote. And there we have it. Biden, like Trump, has strong Jewish connections, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. But when the Jewish elite use that against them and manipulate them, and they end up as puppets to the Hebrew Anunnaki junta, that is where it becomes a problem. The American national debt, we were told, was paid off 2 years ago, except they're still recording it. And it's approaching now, and it may have gone over, $28 trillion as of Wednesday, after surging more than $8 billion during Trump's 4 years in office. And the likely passage of additional coronavirus relief measures in the early days of Biden's administration could add further trillions more in debt even before factoring in other policy changes. So how does it compare? Well, Obama's debt was hailed as outrageous, and that was $9.3 trillion over 8 years. Trump in 4 years overspent $8 trillion. Yet the significant difference was Trump never declared a war. And the great question is, just where has that extra $8 trillion being spent, and where has it gone to? Infrastructure? Job creation? Better health? Schools? Transportation? None of the above. And people can blame Trump all they like, but the problem is the people. We are the problem, allowing them to spend our money on non-productive benefits that are for them by the people. That's the problem. That's why I tried to set up committees to deal with some of these issues with the TPC, all the people coming together. Waiting for people in Washington or New York to fix things is pointless. With the big tech controlling things, the big corporations have them in a dancing like little marionettes. The only people they can't control, if we stand up, is us. Now, one of the main themes that the portal people have been pushing over the past 4 years is the race issue. And they couldn't stress enough that the mob in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago was mostly white. Presumably to compensate for the fact that we've just gone through 7 months of violent Black Lives Matter riots. I don't recall them saying they were predominantly black. But anyone who has looked at the photos of the so-called mob riots and the video of what happened in DC on that day might have noticed there were not an insignificant number of black and brown faces in that crowd too. Now, the issue is not the colour of the people who were there or why they were there. The issue is the portal people planting seeds that it was white only again. But the question that the person who wrote this piece asked, could Trump's most die-hard supporters all be a bunch of white supremacists if many of them were actually ethnic minorities? Remember the Juicy Smollett, white Trump followers. He made it all up. And it's the portal people that's creating this, and people, whatever colour you are, need to come together and stop it. All they're doing is dividing and conquering us. The Republican Party Central Committee in Carbon County, Wyoming, has censured Liz Cheney for voting to impeach President Trump as support for the one-time rising GOP star crumbles in her home state. And the censure resolution passed in a unanimous vote by the 45-member Central Committee, and it included a demand that Ms. Cheney appear before the committee to explain her actions. Our representative, they said, did not represent our voice. And the resolution condemns Ms. Cheney for conduct described as defying the will of most Wyoming Republican voters and joining in a rushed impeachment that did not examine all the facts and denied Mr. Trump due process. And the resolution also declared that a vocal majority of Wyoming Republicans recognized there were significant irregularities in the November 3rd presidential election. Accusations of ballot fraud and election irregularities were the basis for the January 6th allegedly pro-Trump rally. Yes, there was pro-Trump people there, but the agitators were not in the main. That is the difference. It's no surprise, that it's her, the offspawn of Darth Vader. Why do people expect any difference? Why do people even vote for her? Gets me. Anyone who's seen the movie on Cheney, Dick Cheney, will know where I'm going with it. That psychopath and his involvement in 9/11 and why he was involved is all revealed in that movie. And also the damage he did to his daughter, here, Liz Cheney. All to protect himself. Typical politician then. This was a kind of amusing story. I would love to have been right next to it. General David H. Berger, Commandant of the United States Marine Corps, refused House non-Speaker Nancy Pelosi's request to use the corpse to safeguard Biden's January 20th inauguration from, there we go again, Trump supporters and insurrectionists. Clowns. And a Pentagon source speaking under promise of anonymity told the news that Pelosi contacted General Berger late Monday night and she beseeched him to commit 5,000 troops to help ensure a peaceful transition of power and prevent a repeat of the January 6th siege of the Capitol. Now, General Berger, according to the source, didn't understand why Pelosi needed additional soldiers to augment an already impressive force assembled by federal and also state officials. And that force included 15,000 National Guard from DC, Delaware, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and an undisclosed number of FBI and DHS agents who arrived in DC on Sunday night. So 15,000 turn up. military to protect a senile old man and his non-speaker of the House. Where were those 15,000 when the BLM and Antifa riots were going on? Oh, sorry. There I go again. I've asked a common sense question, and I apologise. Now, Pelosi said she wanted battle-ready reinforcements because radicalised Trump supporters and kooky QAnon conspiracy people were about to converge on DC. Ooh. And she implored him to reconsider, arguing that it was the general's patriotic duty. Really? Pelosi spouting patriotic duty. Oh my. To quell uprisings and guarantee Biden's ascension. Oh my. I'll have to, someone needs to tell Circle of White Light that Biden's ascended. Perhaps he went to 5D, who knows. And her statement apparently made the general explode and says, "Don't lecture me on patriotism, Madam Speaker. I've served this country with distinction for 40 years. I've spilled blood for our nation. What have you, a self-serving elected official, done for your country?" Hear, hear, Mr. Berger. Pelosi then further enraged him by saying he was answerable to Congress. Mr. Berger said, "I only answer to the president, and as I understand it, Donald J. Trump is still president and commander-in-chief. I abide in the Constitution as it was written, not your interpretation of it." And when her intimidation tactic failed to sway General Berger, Pelosi tried a different tactic, begging and flattery. Pelosi claimed that the National Guard's weekend warriors. So that's what Pelosi thinks of the National Guard. You're all weekend warriors. Oh my, bit like the militia then. Were ill-prepared to repel an army of mad Trumpists. Oh dear. Battle-hardened Marines, however, were more capable of defeating rabble-rousers, she said. You have the best trained soldiers in the world and America needs them. What's wrong with the police? I thought they're supposed to keep order. Another common sense suggestion again. But Mr. Berger thankfully was unmoved, and the only way Marines would be deployed, he told her, was if Mr. Trump himself issued that order. If you want us to help combat his supporters, I suggest you get him on the phone and tell him that. If he orders me to, I will. Otherwise, I suggest you listen really hard to the words escaping your cracked, poisonous lips. They are tantamount to treason. Slap. It's about time someone told that bitch to shut up and put her in her place. You know, the very fact that that raving, psychotic lunatic is anywhere near a top position in this country is a damning indictment of the country and the people allowing it. She's an utter psychopath. Speaking of Pelosi, here's some family history released by Files this week. Nancy Pelosi's brother, Franklin Roosevelt D'Alessandro, was charged with rape. He was charged with rape at the age of 20 years old. The victims were 11 and 13. This was back in 1953. 14 people were charged. 12 went to court. Only one got acquitted. Pelosi's brother. It's funny how that happens frequently, is it not? This next song was done at one of the Clown Award ceremony events. I asked Holly to post the lyrics. Pay close attention to the words. They are telling you the future. Not all are going to make it is actually the truth. And this is what we are preparing for here at THI. Our future, not their version of it.